Good evening. This is your weekly IUP-TV News Bulletin, broadcasted from Davis Hall. My name is Molly Cunningham.
And my name is Stoker Wyzorek. We bring you stories that are relevant to IUP and the Indiana community. In local news, state police released enforcement stats regarding the IU-Patties weekend. These numbers are within the times of March 24th and the 27th. There were a total of 336 traffic stops, with 155 of those being citations and 95 as written warnings. Investigations of 8 vehicle crashes are underway, as well as the assisting of 5 motorists. As a warning to the community, 35 people were arrested for drinking under the age of 21. Other than that, no major incidents were reported.
The deadline has passed for filing petitions for the May 17th primary election. There will be one Republican primary contest for Congress for Indiana County voters. Brian Doyle, whom heads up at the IUP College Democrats, filed for the 62nd Legislative District, which includes Jim Stressy of White Township and James Bruno Stressy of the 2nd.
Still in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania House Republicans have advanced legislation keeping transgender athletes from competing in women's school sports teams. The supporters say the legislation protects the integrity of women's sports, while critics say the legislation will harm transgender athletes. PA Governor Tom Wolf says that he will veto the legislation.
The Labor Department said that the number of workers voluntarily leaving their positions increased. There were 11.3 million job openings in February. According to the government data, there are still roughly 3 million people that have not returned to their jobs. Large public companies, along with small businesses, raised pay prior to the pandemic and have had inflation rates raging at highs. This has made it difficult for businesses to pay, while the cost of materials continue to rise at the same time.
We now go to the news of U.S. health officials clearing a second booster shot for anyone over the age of 50. This booster also applies to some immunocompromised people outside of this age range. The FDA also states that eligible persons can get a second booster 4 months after the first one. These new clearances apply to people 12 and older, but with certain immunodeficiencies.
Governor Tom Wolf used $1 million to create a grant program that could help Pennsylvania's institutions of higher education address this issue of their campuses. This program was made in order to help schools create or expand on their food pantries located on campus, increase outreach about available supports, hire social workers to assist students, improve data gathering efforts, and more.
Canada is pledging to help countries in stopping their use of Russian oil. It is the 4th biggest producer of this resource in the world. Natural Resources Minister Jonathan Wilkinson says that by the end of this year, quote, we will be up to 300,000 exported barrels. But this is only a fraction of the 3 million barrels that the International Energy Agency says will be removed from global markets due to sanctions against Russia.
Biden commented on the Ukraine military at the meeting with the NATO allies, saying that we are going to continue to keep strong sanctions. Biden spoke by phone to the top European leaders Tuesday about the invasion of Ukraine and the consequences their countries will continue to impose on Russia. In addition, the White House said that they will provide humanitarian assistance to millions of Ukrainians.
Believe it or not, the war in Ukraine is affecting the IUP community in more ways than one. Coming up is a story about how Ukrainians at IUP are coping with the current situation of their homeland. Stay tuned.
Welcome to Folger Hall on the IUP campus. Once used as a dining hall, Folgers has been converted into a student center complete with a pool table, video games, board games, and study space for students to utilize throughout their Students can use this space to catch up on some great programming, study, or grab a bite to eat at Folgers late night, serving food until 1 a.m. Come check it out.
People in Indiana County are feeling the effects of Russia's assault on Ukrainian lands. This is reflected not only through sanctions imposed on the country, but the ability to focus for some Ukrainian students studying abroad. Stoker Wyzorek had the opportunity to talk with an international student from Ukraine about their experience.
Russia's attack on Ukraine is spreading its influence across the globe. It's even making an impression here in Indiana County, and not just on product prices.
I cannot focus, I cannot think even about my dissertation or my studies.
Oksana Moroz and her family are studying abroad here at IUP, all while the situation in their homeland intensifies. Before all of this, she had plans.
So I'm in a dissertation writing stage. So I'm supposed to write my dissertation, and that was happening before.
Moroz is here for a PhD in composition and applied linguistics. About Ukraine, a vigil was held in response to the Russian attacks, with Oksana and her husband Taras Moroz explaining their experiences in IUP's Leonard Hall.
I think it was in October that in Ukraine there was a... At first, I was the one who initiated that vigil. I thought, if something like that big is happening, there should be some statement of support, but it was not coming. For me, it was also good to see that not even, if people don't even have any Ukrainian friends, or they are just there supporting, because it's not, even about just Ukraine. It's about whole humanity, and, it's democracy worldwide.
While support is now with the Moroz family and Ukrainians at IUP, it still doesn't shake the harsh reality of this war.
I hope that, we will win this war. So I don't want to say when the war ends. No, it's actually we want Ukraine to win. If the whole world lets Russia win, then Russia will move on to next countries. Ukrainians are those who fight for their freedom. We will not just give up easily.
The Moroz family says that they wish there was no reason for the vigil to happen in the first place, as many do. Their hometown, Ivano-Frankivsk, was hit by 6 missiles shortly after the attack started.
Tuesday, everybody's talking about this thing that Putin announced. And then Wednesday night, I usually put kids to bed at 8:30. I remember I go to bed, my husband is next to me. He's just looking something on his phone. And then he tells me, I have a feeling something will happen today. Honestly, I think we slept for 30 minutes, and then I woke up, I looked at him, and he says, Oksana, they just bombarded Kyiv.
There are so many questions to ponder for a lot of Ukrainians around the world, including how things will turn out.
By now, there are so many losses from the Russian side that I think it's also telling that actually Ukrainians are strong and they can win this fight. I am hoping that it will get results soon, because, the more days it takes, the more people are dying. I honestly don't think that talking is the way to resolve this. There has to be more actionable steps to be done.
We can only hope that this attack on the Eastern European country will end soon. For now, Oksana has a message on how people can show their support.
The easiest way is also sharing with others. If you learn something, make sure you check your sources. If you have friends or relatives or somebody who is from Ukraine, definitely reach out. That shows that they care, they know what is happening, and they want to support. If you really want to donate money, for example, I would advise to get in touch with somebody who is from there and can give you, this is the real people I know that they're doing this and this.
This is Stoker Wyzorik reporting for IUP-TV News.
Last weekend marked the anticipated tradition of IU patties. Cole Carter shows us what happened and the significance of the event to this area. Here's the story.
If you spent any time in Indiana over the weekend, you probably noticed waves of college students dressed in green. That's because students at IUP were celebrating IU patties, an annual tradition at IUP that started back in 2013. For most students, IU Patties is a chance to have fun with their friends and enjoy the Indiana area. But for some, these celebrations bring more stress than satisfaction. Dominic Rafero, head of security at local bar HB Culpeppers, describes what changes the IU Patties festivities bring to his work.
So normally during the week, we get about anywhere from 400 to 800 people. Pretty chill. Everyone's usually out by 2 o'clock. Patties a completely different beast, man. You got anywhere from 800 to 1,400. I mean, this patties we had 1,400 both nights. Can't move it all upstairs. Downstairs is packed. Takes everyone forever to get out. I mean, anybody who was there, you see how it was. Can't do anything. Bumping into everyone, drinks getting spilled. Thankfully, this year we had no fights, which is very rare.
On St. Patrick's Day weekend, students from across the state will line the streets for IU Patties, a campus-wide celebration of St. Patrick's Day. It won't just be students lining the streets, though, as police officers from neighboring counties come every year to enforce various alcohol-related citations. And the police were most definitely out in Indiana, as many students reported seeing police vehicles frequently throughout the weekend.
Yeah, there was a lot of cops out at IU Patties. We saw them lined up all down through the street, pulling people over.
Officers were on high alert this year, as Indiana hasn't hosted an IU Patties in 2 years due to the COVID-19 pandemic. The IUP community was excited to get to celebrate St. Patrick's Day together again. And while some students weren't able to enjoy the festivities, Indiana began to feel like things were back to near normal. This is Cole Carter, IUP-TV News.
We'll be back in a moment to look at the local businesses as well as an indie rock music band from Pittsburgh. Stay tuned.
Your future beckons, calling from a place where there's plenty of room to grow, where possibilities are abundant, where you'll be challenged every day to uncover the best version of you, where you can blossom. The place, IUP. Here, like the clusters of oaks in our renowned oak grove, we're united in helping you reach new heights. Ready to heed the call? Get in the grove at IUP.
Some people studying at IUP are starting their careers early by creating their own businesses. Paige Hinman sits down with some IUP students who are sharing their advice on making connections in their field.
Small businesses are everywhere, from the clothes we wear to the art we purchase. If you want to run a small business of your own but don't know how to get started, here are some tips from 2 IUP students about their small business and how they got started. Ethan Black is the owner of Paperboy Vintage, a small business he created back in September 2019 for the purpose of reselling vintage clothing.
So the first steps I took starting Paperboy was looking at people that inspired me to do it and what they do. And I know a couple alumni that run the same kind of thing, so they helped me out a lot too. But to get it going at a profit, it's pretty easy because I'm just going to thrift stores and yard sales, so I'm only paying less than $20 sometimes for like a lot of product. And then I just post them online and I'm making a lot of gross amount, so.
Connections are important for any small business. Ethan talks about his connections firsthand and how they've helped him succeed so far.
Making connections was pretty easy. It was weird because I did it through Instagram a lot. One of the alumni that I know, he runs a store in Pittsburgh, so I'd often go down there. And after time and time just talking to him and looking at what he does, that inspired me to start the page. And connection-wise, that's been the best part of it. And it helps me grow it probably every day as a business. For people that want to do something like me or do whatever they want, I would just say do what you love and just do it with passion, but also make connections. That really has been the best part and the most helpful part. If you're good at something and you know you're good at it, just keep going with it. Don't listen to what other people have to say.
Ethan is not the only one with a small business. Ari Bada is an art student here, working commissions for the past 4 years while practicing to strengthen her own talent. Ari's goal is to one day own her own gallery, Ale Studios.
Okay, so the personal connections that I made and how they were beneficial to me when working with people and promoting my business was thoroughly through social media. I use Facebook and Instagram the most, and being from Pittsburgh, the art community is kind of small, so I was able to find and make connections with people and meet their satisfactory needs when they want something specifically done, like if it's graphic design, if it's illustration and things in that. Suggestion onto achieving your business in the long run would be just finding art spaces within your community and collaborating with people. The more you collaborate with people and putting your work out there, the more it's going to be noticed, in my opinion. networking, going to art shows, etc., is a good way as an artist that's freelancing to make more connections and build more commissions. Will definitely put your work out there more. And my advice for students or anyone general wanting to start their business goes basically back to what I said for the second question, is just to network and make connections for people.
If owning a small business is something you've thought about, consider Ethan and Ari's advice and get your small business started. Reporting for IUP-TV News, this is Paige Heineman.
If you live in the Pittsburgh area, you probably have heard of an indie rock band called Fortune Teller. Since 2017, the band continues to bring fresh and interesting music. IUP's Carrie Young has the story.
Kendrick Lamar, Kanye West, Travis Scott. These names and many others seem to be all the buzz in music nowadays. However, hip-hop hasn't always been the top of the music game. To some, it will always be rock and roll. Meet Fortune Teller, an indie rock band formed in Pittsburgh. Comprised of only a drummer and a guitarist, Fortune Teller has been rocking out since 2017, consistently bringing increased attention towards local music.
I'm Giovanni Orsini. I sing and play guitar in Fortune Teller.
My name's JJ Young. I play drums and I sing in Fortune Teller.
Fortune Teller released their self-titled first record in the summer of 2018, and they just recently released their second record, Collapse, back in October of this year. Both JJ and Giovanni have complementary styles, and when asked about their early influences, they both had the same name in mind.
I think probably overall across all projects, Led Zeppelin definitely influenced me a lot, especially playing with JJ in Fortune Teller.
When I found Led Zeppelin, I have a very specific memory. I was with my uncle in the car and Dazed and Confused came on. I had never really noted that drums could be any more complicated than what they were in Beatles songs. And then I heard like the triplet fills that he did. There's one specific part. And I just remember like being really changed by it. So let's grow out my hair really long and try to like just ape John Bonham and everything you do. And
probably just the raw and like the power behind their performances, especially live. And then kind of as I got more into songwriting on my own, a lot of like Jimmy Page's and John Paul Jones' like songwriting I've taken a lot from. So I guess kind of over the years it's kind of taken different things.
To coincide with the release of their new album, Fortune Teller held a release show at the Mr. Smalls Theater in Millvale, Pittsburgh, with an outstanding showing of 200 plus attendees. They even have some modern day influence that they credit in their writing.
Now, especially for Fortune Teller, I'd probably say Ty Segall. Most of his projects, especially Fuzz, which I think JJ will probably talk about as well. But
I love everything that Ty makes so much.
To top everything off, Fortune Teller had their newest record printed to vinyl, a lifelong dream of both of the band members. Fortune Teller's new record, Collapse, can be streamed via Apple Music, Spotify, Amazon Music, and many more streaming services. Their vinyl can also be found on their website or at the Attic Record Store in Millvale, PA. This has been Carrie Young with IUP-TV News.
Don't leave yet, as we have more stories including changes in enrollment for IUP students after this.
Let's talk about mental health. Not many people realize that your mental health is just as important as your physical. As college students, many different factors can contribute to poor mental health, such as the pressure to succeed, financial instability, social media, and poor health habits. So how do you maintain good mental health? Exercising multiple times a week, eating better on a daily basis, drinking less, and setting achievable goals for yourself are great ways to stay on top.
In recent years, enrollment rates at IUP have been lower than previous times. Our Jacqueline Himes explains the possibilities and effects for this change in numbers.
Indiana University of Pennsylvania has been considered home to many students from all over for about 147 years. When the doors opened to what was then Indiana Normal School in 1897, there was around 225 students enrolled. Since then, numbers were rising, increasing the number of students who find themselves spending the next few years here in Indiana, PA. In fall 2012, IUP experienced its all-time greatest enrollment of about 15,379 students. Since this plateau, numbers have been rapidly decreasing. Enrollment numbers during the recent 2020 to 2021 school year were as low as 10,067 students. Numbers have not been that low since the 1968 to 1969 school year. I met up with graduate student Alan Gauze, who tells us his experience with the decreasing numbers.
Going to IUP since 2016. I took a gap year between my undergrad and my graduate degree now. And besides just like the difference in major and like grad classes being smaller, definitely a lot less people on campus. I feel like the Oak Grove used to be like a little highway, but now it's not too hard to get through like in between classes. I've definitely noticed a reduction in the amount of students, and it's kind of sad. It used to be like bustling, but I mean, it makes housing a lot easier to get. It's a little bit cheaper, and you kind of have the corner of the market compared to the landlords.
Class sizes have been shrinking. The number of classes available have also been shrinking. No one can tell exactly why enrollment has been decreasing. However, I'm sure we can all agree we hope to see higher numbers in the future. I'm Jacqueline Himes reporting for IUP-TV News.
Though enrollment at IUP has been low in recent years, that's not to say that people won't be busy in their studies. Alex Huber has a story on how you can fuel your brain for your studies or just to relax.
If there's one thing that Indiana isn't short on, that's places to eat. The Indiana County Bureau of Tourism has listed more than 24 restaurants within Indiana County, with everything from chain restaurants, to Thai, to Mediterranean, and even baked goods. One of the best-known restaurants in Indiana is the 9th Street Deli, located on the corner of 9th and Philadelphia Street. This deli is famous for its homemade pasta salads and pickles, fresh-cut deli meats, and its infamous 24-inch subs. I sat down with one of the Indiana residents to ask him what he thought about this local icon.
I like their fresh ingredients. I think that it's a nice homey place. You can get nice fresh food, and it has a great atmosphere, and the staff is really friendly.
Another local favorite is Coney's Restaurant and Bar, located on Philadelphia Street. Founded in 1933, this Irish-style restaurant serves traditional Irish meals as well as American classics such as sandwiches and pastas. And if you're thirsty, they have dozens of beers and cocktails at Coney Island Bar, located at the rear of the restaurant. I sat down with a student in Indiana to see what he thought about this one-of-a-kind eatery.
What I really like about Coney's is I really like the atmosphere. There aren't too many like Irish-themed restaurants around where I live, so I really like that. The food's really good. The service there is really nice. And yeah, I just think it's a really cool place to be.
Whether you're a connoisseur or a college student, there's no denying that Indiana's restaurants have something for everyone. It doesn't matter if you're from across the world or you grew up down the street. These wonderful gathering places truly make Indiana feel like home. For Com 355, I'm Alex Huber, and thanks for watching.
This is IUP-TV News.
Nominations for the IUP Leadership Awards ceremony are due by this Friday. You can help someone that you believe to have shown great leadership skills by going onto the IUP Campus Lab's website and filling out the form provided.
As of Tuesday, the registration window for all fall 2022 courses is now open. Be sure to meet with your academic advisor and sign up for the classes that you want before spaces run out.
That's all that we have this week. Tune in next week for more stories on IUP-TV News. My name is Stoker Wyzorek.
And my name is Molly Cunningham. Come back here for more stories including IUP's evolving dining options and community traditions such as Easter and Ramadan. We'll see you next week, Indiana.